If you were awake Sunday night and you're a Browns fan, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I sat there, like a lot of you, watching what started as another divisional showdown and ended up feeling like a public execution of every hope we'd been nursing since training camp. Twitter went nuclear, Reddit exploded, group chats filled with screenshots and savage memes. And by the time the final whistle blew, I couldn't help but feel like the team had done something worse than lose. They humiliated themselves in front of an entire country. I'm not being dramatic. I'm speaking from the kind of hurt that only Browns fans really understand. And I'm saying this to you directly. What I watched on that field was an organizational failure. And one name stood out as the epicenter of the collapse: Dillon Gabriel. Let me be clear up front. I love the Browns. I study them, I root for them, I bleed orange and brown. So when I say what I'm about to say, it comes from anger that's wrapped in sadness. This wasn't just a bad night at the office or a curveball the Steelers caught. This was 30, 40, 50 attempts at rescue that amounted to nothing. 50 pass attempts. Read that again. 50. By the time you factor in the yardage, the 0 touchdowns, the lack of any explosive downfield plays, it's not a quarterback struggling through the usual rookie growing pains. It's a quarterback who's robbed the offense of its identity. On paper, his completion percentage might have looked passable to someone glancing at the box score. Tired of boring phone cases? Here's your chance. My Etsy shop is packed with exclusive designs that let you show off your team pride in style. And the best part, you'll unlock discounts when you hit favorite, more savings when you add to cart, and even surprise discounts on your second purchase. Don't wait. Click the link in the description and grab your favorite now. But football is not numbers on a spreadsheet. It's decisions, timing, and willingness to attack. I watched checkdowns and dump-offs on obvious third and long situations. I watched the intermediate windows sit open and go unpunished. I watched receivers run clean, confident routes, and then watch Gabriel pick the safest option like he was afraid to let the offense live. That's not playing to win. That's playing to avoid blame. When Pete from the couch next to me began laughing at some of the defensive back's body language, I knew it had sunk to a new low. Cameras caught Steelers defenders grinning, pointing, almost mocking. Professional athletes doing that on a national stage? That doesn't happen unless the opponent hands them the script. And the reaction? Oh, the reaction. If you spent even 5 minutes on Twitter, you saw the memes. You saw one edit after another of Gabriel on a practice squad roster, with captions that cut deep but hit a nerve. You saw comparisons that put his stat line up next to retired signal callers like some kind of indictment. A tweet blew up with tens of thousands of likes. We were trading for Joe Flacco. We were joking, but the joke landed because the reality stung. Fans feel betrayed. They feel like the organization has a blind spot so massive, it's now a hazard to winning. This isn't just the fans losing their minds either. The national media joined in the chorus. Pundits who've given the Browns the benefit of the doubt, all preseason suddenly dug their knives in. I don't relish that. I hate when our problems become fodder for other teams' highlight reels. But you can't argue with what your eyes tell you. And then there's the chorus inside the building. The part you don't always see. The grumbling from teammates. The whispered exasperation. I've heard sources say players were flat out frustrated. Offensive linemen busting their tails to give someone time, then watching him throw the ball away or refuse to go deeper into the field. One veteran receiver reportedly asked, "Why am I running deep if he won't throw past 15 yards? That frustration is not abstract. It's real. It leaks out into the locker room, and it can't be papered over with a staged press conference. And that's where the coaching questions come crashing in. Kevin Stefanski stood in front of microphones and said what every coach says when asked about change. He gives us the best chance to win. But the field said something else. The team's defense played like a championship-caliber unit against Pittsburgh. They forced turnovers. They gave the offense short fields. They did their part. And the offense? They handed momentum back to the other team, like it was a relay baton they wanted rid of. You can't ask the defense to be Superman every week. It's unsustainable. And watching that defense pour their heart out only to see it wasted is maddening. Now let's talk about the bench. Shedeur Sanders. He's sitting on the sideline every week practicing, ready, and by all accounts, his presence in warm-ups changes the room. Teammates see him. They see his arm, his confidence, his leadership. From what I've watched and heard, a lot of players, veterans included, have privately been advocating for him. That's not a rumor. It's the heartbeat of a locker room that wants to win. Yet every week we cycle back to Gabriel and the same familiar frustration. If you've been following quarterback room dynamics for years like I have, you know how destructive that is. It erodes confidence, breeds resentment, and before you know it, the season drains away while we argue about optics and draft position. I want to be fair here. I don't believe anyone is a malicious actor in this story. Nobody on that roster woke up hoping to lose. But what I do see is the sunk cost fallacy in action. The team invested in a plan, committed publicly, and now seems paralyzed to change course, even as evidence piles up that the plan is failing. That's not stubbornness that's noble. It's a strategic error. And right now, the price is the window for postseason contention. You can feel the cultural shift in Cleveland's social feeds. Fans who usually defend the coaching staff are posting emergency podcasts and organizing digital campaigns. Thousands swapped profile pictures to support the alternative. The grassroots sentiment is unanimous. Play the guy who gives us a chance. I don't love mob justice as a concept, but I do love fan intuition. Football fans feel things in their bones, and this city's bones are aching. Let me be upfront about what terrifies me the most. This is not a single game fluke. Gabriel's struggles have been visible for weeks. Defenses have adjusted, and he has not shown the processing speed, the arm confidence, or the pocket presence necessary to adapt. When you keep putting the same square peg into the same round hole and then demand different results, that's not faith. That's denial. The more you cling to a failing approach, the longer you let a promising season unravel. So what's the real cost here? It's not just another loss in the loss column. It's the erosion of credibility for Kevin Stefanski, a coach who's earned respect across the league, and the distraction it brings to the front office and the locker room. It's the morale damage when a defense works miracles and the offense never cashes the check. It's the widening gap between what this roster could be and what it actually is on game day. I want to stress one more thing. I'm not advocating for chaos. I'm advocating for clarity and a willingness to make the hard choice. You start your best chance to win. If Shedeur Sanders is that guy, you give him the ball. If that move exposes other problems, great, we'll see them early and fix them. But burying your head and hoping the problem solves itself? That's how seasons die quietly. And then people call them wasted years. Tonight, for Cleveland, the jokes and the memes are loud. Social media is merciless. National narratives are shifting. And I don't know about you, but I'm tired of watching the chips drop because of decisions that feel increasingly untethered from reality. The clock is ticking. Division rivals are smelling blood. The playoff window is not infinite. The franchise built a roster that could contend. Everything was there except settled. Competent quarterback play. And now, it's all slipping through our fingers. I'm telling you this as someone who cares. As someone who watches tape, talks to people who are in that building, and feels this city's heartbeat every time the dog pound gets loud. This is the crossroads. Browns leadership has a choice. Keep defending a failing status quo and watch the season erode, or admit the mistake, make the tough call, and give their best chance to win the job. The fan base is not asking for miracles. We're asking for honesty and the courage to act. Start the player who gives you the highest probability to win. Do it now, before the season becomes a footnote in a string of what-ifs. I'm fired up, I'm frustrated, and I'm hopeful, because that's what being a Browns fan is. But hope without action is just fantasy. Cleveland deserves better. The roster deserves better. The city deserves better. Play the guy who gives you a fighting chance. Do it before it's too late. Think about that for a second. But the networks didn't listen. Because those empty seats told the real story, the one no press release can spin away. This isn't some rebuilding patience wearing thin. No, this is a fan base in open revolt. This is a boycott. This is the people of Cleveland sending a message so loud, it's echoing through every corner of the NFL. And when you dig into the numbers, it's even worse. Tickets that used to cost $380, you could get them for $35. Club seats that were going for $275 dropped to $58. Upper deck tickets were practically being given away. Yet the stands were still empty. Season ticket holders were unloading their seats for massive losses, just cutting emotional ties, walking away. A ticket executive told me flat out, "This isn't a price correction. This is demand evaporation. Let that sink in." The Browns aren't just losing fans. They're losing faith, loyalty, identity, and then there's the game itself. My God, it was ugly. From the very first drive, the offense looked lifeless. No rhythm, no spark, no heartbeat. 3 plays, negative yards, punt. False starts, sacks, interceptions. Every single drive looked like a rerun of a nightmare we've seen too many times before. They finished the first half with 50 yards of total offense. 50. And that's against the Steelers' defense running the most vanilla playbook you'll ever see. No blitzes, no exotic looks, just straight up football, and Cleveland still couldn't function. Without Shedeur Sanders, this team looked soulless. I'm serious. It wasn't just a lack of talent, it was a lack of identity. The quarterback play, panic decisions, zero composure. Receivers running open while the QB stares straight into pressure. The pocket was holding, but he was running himself into sacks. Every fundamental part of the game looked broken. That's not bad luck. That's systemic dysfunction. That's what happens when leadership fails from the top down, and you could feel the cruelty in the contrast. Pittsburgh wasn't doing anything fancy. They just executed. They looked like pros. Meanwhile, Cleveland looked lost, confused, disorganized. Troy Aikman even said it during the broadcast. I'm watching professional football players who look completely lost. That's coming from a Hall of Fame quarterback who knows dysfunction when he sees it. Final score: Steelers 31, Browns 3. Cleveland's only points came off a Pittsburgh turnover deep in their own territory. Other than that, they never even crossed midfield under their own power the entire second half. 134 total yards, 6 first downs, 4 turnovers. That's not just a loss. That's an indictment. And the sad truth? This all traces back to one decision: letting Shedeur Sanders walk. He wasn't just a quarterback. He was the brand. He was the energy. He was the future. When Sanders was in Cleveland, the city had hope again. Fans weren't just watching games. They were part of something. The jerseys, the ticket sales, the national buzz, it was all built around him. Every network wanted to talk about the Browns because of him. Every kid wanted to wear orange and brown again because of him. And now, silence. The fan reaction after the game was unlike anything I've ever seen. Hashtags like "We Want Shedeur" and "I'll Fire Stefanski" exploded online. Hundreds of thousands of mentions overnight. Photos of empty seats everywhere. Videos of fans burning their own Browns jerseys outside the stadium. Not Steelers jerseys. Their own. Chanting "Shedeur or nothing." That's not frustration anymore. That's heartbreak. That's betrayal. One post summed it all up perfectly. I paid to watch Sanders. If he's gone, I'm gone too. That one comment got nearly 50,000 likes and thousands of replies from fans saying the exact same thing. People who've spent their entire lives supporting this team are done. Done spending their money. Done giving their hearts to an organization that doesn't seem to care. And the national media didn't hold back either. ESPN, Fox, everyone torched Cleveland. Dan Orlovsky called it organizational malpractice. Stephen A. Smith went viral with his rant. He said, "You had your franchise quarterback. You had the future, and you threw it away because of ego. Now look at your stadium, empty. Look at your offense, pathetic." And honestly, he's right. Even Terry Bradshaw chimed in, calling it one of the worst decisions he's seen in 50 years covering the league. Empty seats don't lie, he said. And that's the truth. Fans vote with attendance. Cleveland's fan base has spoken loud and clear. They're done until this team proves it deserves them. And while all this chaos unfolds, Shedeur Sanders just keeps winning off the field. His social media is booming. Endorsements piling up. Cameras following his every move. Yet he said nothing. No bitterness, no drama, no shots at Cleveland. Just quiet focus. That silence. It's louder than anything coming from Berea right now. Here's the crazy part. His old Browns jersey is still the top-selling item in Cleveland. He's not even on the team, and his jersey is outselling every current player combined. Fans are buying them as protest statements, wearing them to games like a symbol of what was lost. Retailers can't even keep them in stock. It's surreal. Meanwhile, the fallout keeps spreading. That Steelers game drew the lowest ratings for this rivalry in nearly 2 decades. Local ratings down almost 40%. Nationally, 27% drop. The networks are furious. Sponsors are panicking. And the Browns, they're just watching their empire crumble from the inside out. Sources tell me ownership's been holding emergency meetings every single day. Consultants, PR strategists, damage control sessions. The coaching staff's under fire. The front office is panicking. Everyone's pointing fingers. Players are frustrated, but afraid to speak up. And honestly, who can blame them? One of them even told a local reporter anonymously, "We all know what everyone's thinking. We're thinking it too." This didn't have to happen. That's as honest as it gets. So here we are, Cleveland in complete free fall. Fans walking away. Players losing faith. The national media turning the Browns into a cautionary tale. Free agents are watching all this unfold, thinking, why would I ever go there? The damage isn't just emotional anymore. It's financial, cultural, existential. And the worst part, Browns fans don't deserve this. They've been loyal through decades of heartbreak. They've endured rebuilds, relocations, and heartbreak after heartbreak. They've waited patiently for competence. And just when they thought they had it, when Shedeur Sanders brought hope, excitement, and relevance, it all got ripped away because of arrogance and ego. Now every empty seat in that stadium stands as a monument to that mistake. Every loss, every lifeless drive, every drop in ratings, it all traces back to that one decision. The Browns didn't just lose a quarterback. They lost their future, and the way things are going, I'm not sure they'll ever get it back.